Welcome to Insiders.
I have a confession to make. I don't really watch Insiders on the ABC all that often. Instead, my guilty pleasure is watching the reaction to Insiders on Twitter after it's aired.
You're a bad boy.
It's not a new thing, but what I have noticed over a period of time is that there seems to be a perception of bias or favouritism when it comes to which party is getting their talking head on screen each weekend. There seems to be a collective view that when Labor were in opposition, they weren't given as much airtime as the Coalition are being given now that they're in the wilderness. Well, in the interests of science and my own curiosity, I thought I'd take a look. Let's start with the current Labor term. For this exercise, I'm going to file things under Labor, the Coalition and Other. In terms of Other, it's going to be made up of independents, the Greens, any other minor parties, foreign politicians, unions and academics. Since the 2022 federal election, Labor has been the clear winner. It's not really a contest.
We have a winner!
So let's take a look at the last 12 months of the Coalition government in the lead up to the 2022 election. The overall results are interesting for a couple of reasons. First, they don't really support the theory that the Coalition have been overrepresented on Insiders since they've been in opposition. They also don't support the theory that Labor was hard done by in the lead up to the 2022 election either. For me anyway, it perhaps points to an acknowledgement from the ABC that the community are looking beyond the two traditional major parties and they're tweaking their content accordingly. In the 12 months leading into the 2022 election, if you weren't from one of the two major parties, you'd have been lucky to get a look in. The increase in visibility of minor parties and independents would appear to have come at the expense of the traditional opposition. For me, this little exercise reinforces one point: perception and reality do not always meet. Here's a slight segue, but this leads me to the 10th anniversary of the ABC and RMIT's fact check. It's interesting to look back on 10 years worth of fact checking, but I'm tipping the results of 10 years worth of analysis don't line up with many people's perception, particularly when it comes to which parties and politicians are the most factually flexible. I probably should have included a trigger warning, but party-wise, Labor and the Coalition are neck and neck, which will probably come as a shock to some. This is also probably going to be a bad time to point out that as far as parties go, the ABC and RMIT have the Greens down as having the strongest relationship with facts.
Shilling blowhard.
I'm sure it's not a surprise to people that have seen a heap of my other videos, but I'd rate the Morrison government as the worst Australia has had in my living history anyway. If you'd asked me which Prime Minister or opposition leader had the worst fact-check record, I'd have picked ScoMo, no contest. But the reality is, based on the ABC and RMIT fact-check results, there's not a hell of a lot splitting ScoMo and Albo. Dutton is falling behind, which is not a surprise given how much the No campaign is relying on misinformation to push its case. Malcolm Turnbull is way out in the lead as the most reliable, so make of that what you will. So there you go. Perception, reality, pickles.